All right, here we go. Question number 8 from our 0314 homework number 7 in MyLab Math. We have a bit of a word problem. It says after declining between 1940 and 1980, the number of multi-generational households has been increasing since 1980. The function, which I have written down over here in my scratch area, can be used to estimate the number of multi-generational households in country A, whatever country that is, in millions. So when you calculate values from that function, that's millions of multi-generational households. X represents the number of years after 1940. So X is time, H of X is households. In what year were there 50 million multi-generational households? Okay, so a couple of things we need to make a note of. First of all, X is the number of years after 1940. So X is time, and H of X is the number of, and I'm going to abbreviate that, multi-generational households. Okay, now what do they give me? It says there were 50 million multi-generational households. So what they have given me is H of X, and they want me to find X. Okay, so to rewrite this function, H of X is now 50. Okay, because they gave me that number. 0.012x squared minus 0.573x plus 35.724. That is the first step, is to replace H of X with what they give me, okay? And now they want me to find how many years after 1940, okay? So that means I need to solve this for X. Notice that this is a quadratic equation, so I need to set it equal to 0. So the next step, we need to move the 50 over so that we can set this equation equal to 0. All right, here we go. Sliding it up. We're going to have 0.012x squared minus 0.573x. And then if I pull up my calculator, what we're going to do is we're going to type in 35.724, and that 50, when it comes over, is going to become minus. So we're going to say minus 50 equals. And if the calculator gives you a fraction like mine does, hit the SD button, and we get negative 14.276. So now what I have is I have a quadratic equation in standard form. So I know the value of A is 0.012. The value of B is negative 0.573. And the value of C is negative 14.276. Now I could, if I wanted to, I could plug all of that into the quadratic formula and solve for X, but I'm going to take a shortcut. I'm going to use the Casio ClassWiz and use the equation/function option. Okay, so we're going to hit equal. We have a polynomial of degree 2, and then we put in the values for A, B, and C. So 0.012, negative 0.573. Notice that those lead zeros are optional there, and if you look at the calculator, it actually fills those lead zeros in. And the value of C is negative 14.276 and equals. All right, so X1 is 65 point, let's round that to 82. And remember, that's time, okay? So that's years. And if I hit equals again, notice I get a negative number, which in this problem doesn't make any sense because you can't have negative time. So we're going to ignore that answer. Now, let's see how it wants me to round. Notice it says round down. So normally you would say, well, that's going to round up to 66 years, but they tell me to round down. So the number of years that I'm going to use is 65 because that 8 is not going to raise the 5 to a 6 if I round down, okay? Now that is 65 years after when? After 1940. So do they want the number of years or do they want the date? Let's read it. Oh, look at this. It says, in what year? So they actually want the 1940. I'm sorry, not the 1940. They want 1940 and then 65 years later. So 1940 plus 65, I actually have to add those together and get 2005 is the year in which this will happen. And I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to put those in the comment section below, or you can text me. And thanks for watching.